Welcome to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown, New York. I'm Carlos Peña, joined by Lindsay Berra and curator Gabrielle Augustine, and we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame Connections episode, From a GOAT to the GOAT. This was one of my favorites because we're talking about one of the greatest of all time, Roberto Clemente.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's start with that, shall we? Why don't we start with the bat that we just saw in the episode? And we're going to put on our gloves.
Oh, yes.
And you can hold the bat he used.
Yeah, I was about to ask.
His 3,000th hit.
It's amazing. I was born 5 or 6 years after Clemente passed away, and my father and my grandfather spoke with such reverence about him as a person, but specifically his arm from right field. Oof. That Clemente was my favorite outfielder growing up, and I had a poster of him on the wall in my room.
So you know that video where he throws from all the way from the wall,
yeah.
And you're like, okay, how's that possible? It's defying gravity, right?
Exactly, yeah. Right, yeah.
Just kept going, yeah.
It just keeps going. It's like,
right.
It's supposed to come down. No, it keeps going.
Well, so one of the things he's also, besides his arm, what he's most famous for, is his ability to hit.
Yes, I would say so. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pass it on to you because
you want to hold it longer.
Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna hold it longer. So I'm gonna let you play with it a little bit, and then
I'm gonna comment again. Obviously, a lot of these bats that we've been able to see during this series, they're all the older bats. These guys used very heavy bats, and this is also a heavy bat. Clemente's was usually 36 to 38 ounces. I think
this one is a 36.
Mm-hmm. But I want to point out that this man was 6 feet tall and 175 pounds. And you think about, and not that I'm trying to compare then and now, but a guy like, you know, Giancarlo Stanton is 100 pounds heavier than Roberto Clemente, and his bat is 3 to 5 ounces lighter. Yes. It's just amazing perspective with what he was able to do as an athlete.
And I tell you what, I'll tell you something technical about bats is I've noticed that they use thicker handles. Mm-hmm. And when I watch Clemente swing, he was able to stay through the zone for a long time. Mm-hmm. And it has a lot to do, if you see the tapered knob and the thicker handle, doesn't allow you to roll your hands over.
Right.
So they're able to stay through the zone almost like punching the baseball. And that's why I thought that they were better line drive hitters, and the old timers were. And it has to do with the way they utilize their tools and the way their tools were built. So pretty cool. I'm going to hold on to this for a while. Let you go ahead and tell us more about it.
No, but you don't want to hear more about the other cool things we have?
Yes, please. But I'll...
You'll take good care of this?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, okay.
I promise.
Okay, good.
This is his 3,000 hit bat. Are you kidding me? I mean,
his last hit of his career.
This is baseball divinity, okay? So
it is.
I'm right.
It is, yeah.
Tell me about this helmet right here.
Yeah, so 12 years before Clemente hit his 3,000th hit, he was in the 1960 World Series. And one of the biggest moments in World Series history happened when Bill Mazeroski hit the walk-off home run.
There's the drive into deep left field. Look out now. That ball is going down. World Series delivered. Mazeroski hits it over the left field fence for a home run, and the Pirates win it 10-9 and win the World Series.
Every little kid's dream to be in that position.
Over my grandfather's head in left field. I just remember him, the video, just watching the ball go out, and everyone in New York's dreams dying.
Right, exactly.
You ain't kidding, though. That's precisely the way we visualize ourselves when we were kids. So like, okay, you know, World Series, Game 7, you know, 3-2 count. You know, if I hit a home run, we win, and if I strike out, we lose.
Exactly.
Bill Mazeroski.
Yep, first walk-off homer in World Series history.
That's so cool.
So
if you
put down the bat,
if you could put down the bat and pass me the helmet.
So I have to put down the bat?
Yeah.
It's a trade.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll let you know, any outtakes you can hold the bat again.
It was an absolute honor holding this bat, seriously. Wow, what a privilege. All right, so.
I want to touch that because it looks like it's like tacky.
It is a little tacky, it is, yeah. Whether it's the plastic, there's not really a lot of tar on it, it's the plastic's gotten a little sticky. And you can see actually there used to be the P for Pittsburgh right there on the front.
The P was here.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
It's not anymore.
It's not anymore, no.
It's probably from the pine tar and just putting his...
I mean, and also, you know, decals over time just peel off, depending on the quality of them.
There's really not a lot going on in this helmet.
There's really not
a lot of protection.
There's not a lot of protection. But I mean, this is the era, you know, before helmets were even required by MLB, you know. Did your grandfather, like, what was his opinion on helmets?
I don't think he ever wore one. I think towards the end of his career, he had the little backwards peanut shell catcher's helmet, but I don't think he ever wore one while he was hitting.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's sort of essentially the same thing, just backwards.
Yeah. Basically.
And that is crazy. I mean, we know stories of batters getting really, really hurt, you know, early on, and they did not. I mean, they got a little better as time went on, but yeah, this is literally no protection at all.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, you compare, you know, helmets from, you know, early 2000s to now, what the difference already in terms of safety.
Cool. And then we have this hat right here, which
this was not part of the episode. So this is I pulled this one
stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
extra
you're
stuff.
Surprises. Okay.
Yeah. Throwing a little curveball here.
Please.
Yeah. So we talked about Chelsea Baker in the episode, right? And you know that she threw 2 perfect games within a year. That would not have been possible without Maria Pepe. In 1972, Maria tried to play Little League Baseball. However, since 1950, Little League Baseball, the organization, did not allow girls to play Little League Baseball. So she played, I think, 3 games before the organization said, you have to quit or we're taking the team out of the league. And so she went to court. This is the hat she wore in those 3 games. She went to court. However, court processes take as long as they do. By the time that the court ruled in her favor, she was too old to play Little League. But that opened the door for Chelsea, for me, to be able to play Little League Baseball.
Wow.
And so without her opening that door, we would not be where we are today.
So we're talking about pioneers.
Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you yourself are a pitcher, and you are still pitching now, correct?
Yes.
Who's that? Do you throw a knuckleball?
I do not throw a knuckleball. I cannot throw a changeup or a knuckleball, but I have 2 curveballs.
Baker threw a knuckleball.
She did, yeah. She was taught that by Joe Negro, brother of Phil Negro, the famous Hall of Famer knuckleballer.
Who was her neighbor? Can you imagine? Like,
and
the old guy living next door is the...
It's like, hey, man, aren't you? Yes. Can you please teach me? Is that the way it went?
Yeah, that's basically what it was, yeah. And Joe was her Little League coach. She didn't lose a game in her 4 years of Little League.
Throwing a knuckleball.
Throwing a knuckleball.
That's amazing.
That is remarkable. And in the episode we saw Joe Maddon, and Joe said that this was the real deal. Like this was not no joke. This was a nasty knuckleball.
Yeah.
So getting that type of endorsement, you know, from someone who's very knowledgeable in the game must have meant the world to her. Even though the 2 perfect games speak for themselves.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, right.
And her getting the chance to throw batting practice to a big league team, and like you said, Joe. I mean, Joe is no stranger to innovation, and like he probably actually seriously considered let's get this girl on the roster.
At 16, and she's throwing a knuckleball in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, Longoria was hit against her, and obviously he gave the nod as far as, hey man, this is a pretty good pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
So such an amazing story.
Yeah, it really is. So, do you have any Joe Maddon stories that are good for camera?
Yeah, I mean, Joe is just such an innovator, and he did not care about how things had been done for years. He brought animals into the clubhouse, kind of keep us loose. I mean, he had a zoo going on in our clubhouse. I mean, he brought penguins, he brought snakes. I'm like, get that cobra away from me. That's a poisonous snake. I don't mess with that. I mean, he really did everything he could to keep the clubhouse just loose, and everyone was really blossoming because their talent was able to express itself. They were not stressed out.
I want to hear about the penguins.
Right, yeah.
Do penguins need to be in water or like on ice, or do they just waddle in? How does that work?
Apparently not. Apparently their habitat could be transferred into a clubhouse.
Did you get to touch the penguins? Like, can you pet a penguin?
Yes, it was so cool. And look, I mean, we were successful. I mean, that organization, the Tampa Bay Rays, really turned into a winning franchise after Joe started, doing all these things, and it kind of changed the culture. Yeah, we had talent, but Joe brought the talent out. We were able to go out there and just play baseball and win because of Joe Maddon. But the zoo was very particular. It actually worked for us.
But speaking of animals, he was also the manager when the Cubs finally broke the very long curse of the billy goat. Do you, as a player, how much stock do you put in curses?
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. I was making connections, right?
And absolutely, yeah.
This is all about connections. All right, so I was with the Rays. I signed with the Cubs. And I get over with the Cubs and I hear all about this GOAT and this curse of the GOAT. And I'm like, okay, we need to stop this. If you're gonna win here, we need to get rid of this, curse thing going on. And I made these t-shirts that forget the GOAT. Well, going back to Tampa the following year, I showed Joe Maddon my t-shirt and he's like, oh, I love that. That is so cool. I'm like, wow, Joe, I tried to get the Cubs believing in this, but it didn't work. Sure enough, Joe goes to the Cubs and he's wearing the t-shirt I showed.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
I was part of that. No one's going to give me credit for it, though.
You're getting credit for it here, though.
Hey, we're making connections. This is what this show is all about. We hope you enjoyed this episode of our Hall of Fame Connection series. If you'd like to learn more about the people, places, and artifacts featured in this video, go to baseballhall.org, where you can plan your visit to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown, New York, and discover your own connections to the game.
Thanks for watching. For more incredible stories, check out our Hall of Fame Connection series. And don't forget to subscribe. Placata!